herd leader. The herd leader heads down. So I have lead ropes I like to use when I'm doing my foundational training. I think we got them on the store, don't we, Dave? It's in my. I just got those in. What's it been? 2 months ago.
I'll double check. I'll make sure that we do.
Yeah. I just got them in. They've got a leather tie string on one end, and they're really nice lead ropes. But I use those for my second stage. And what I mean by that is I use my come-along rope to start with, and then I adjust my rope halter, and I use a combination of the come-along hitch and the rope halter, and then I like to have this nice long lead. And I don't like to have snaps. Snaps, they not only break, but they're too much weight on these guys, and that's what's really important because it rolls on their nose, which we've done some videos on that.
We've done some videos, and you've done some demonstrations with folks, and you've shown them that, hey, you don't think that it's that much, but when you put it right there and you start moving back and forth, it does a little bit of damage every single time it goes, and over the course of a long period of time, you're going to do some real damage, and you've shown us, and you've given us stories too. So, real light lead rope is what you typically use, and no snaps. Yes, we do have a playlist. I'll put that in the comment section, showing Steve not only installing the rope halter and the come-along hitch, but also you can see the way he likes to lead and the ropes that he likes to use. So the next question that I got here, and first I want to say to our YouTube folks, I just realized we had a little bit of a glitch. We're live now. My apologies that it did not go live right away, and we'll make sure we get the full version uploaded when we get done here. So welcome, YouTube folks. Make sure that and for everyone, if this is your first time hanging out with us or first time in a long time, 3 things we ask. Number 1, let us know that you're watching, where you're watching from, what the weather's like. Number 2, be sure to ask your questions. Don't be selfish with those questions. Put them out there so you and everyone else in the world can better understand and better serve and better enjoy these animals. And number 3, share the broadcast. Those are the 3 things we ask. So the next question that I got here, this one's about deworming, and it comes from Simone on YouTube. And it's just quite simply, can you deworm naturally?
Naturally. Well, I don't think I've really tried to do it naturally because there really haven't been that much products out there. I use ivermectin, and it does a good job. I used it on my wife's 28-year-old mule for 26 years. She was doing fine. But I don't know that there's anything natural-wise that you could use that would work good. There's I've had some people tell me about deciduous earth that they've used, but I don't know of anyone that's really done well with something like that. But just use the good old ivermectin. Some of the others, it's a proven product.
Yeah. So let me ask you that then. So for folks who may not be familiar with the needs to deworm, maybe it's their first equine, and they've not been familiar with it. Will you just give me a quick 101 on, hey, I'm a brand new mule owner. Do I immediately need to start looking at deworming? What do I need to do? Help me understand this part of being an equine owner.
You bet. Now, basically, every spring, I suggest everybody do 2 things. Number 1, float the teeth. Get the teeth balanced. Get that right. Number 2, deworming. And I've got a video on how to doctor your mule, and it shows how to use the natural. You were talking about a natural way of worming, but a natural way of getting the mule to relax. And you'll see the mule right there in the video do good. But you need to do it every spring. If you have them out on a pasture, you need to do it about twice a year, so do it every 6 months, because out in the pasture, there's a lot more problems out there that they can get a hold of. And you've got to remember that these animals are grazers, so it doesn't make any difference how much hay you got in front of them. They're still going to nibble on the ground, folks. Oh, that's one thing I should really touch on, Dave. Most folks got their feeders too high. Mm-hmm. Remember, when a mule, a donkey is grazing, they got their nose on the ground. But we tend to put the hay feeders way up high, and they got to eat across like this. Put the feeders down low where they can get to them, and you'll find they'll digest a whole lot better. But that's what I would do every spring. Float the teeth every spring, use your wormer and just switch it out. There's a lot of good wormers out there that really work good.
Awesome. Very good. So, Simone, I hope if you catch that answer, I hope that helps you and gets you going there. If anybody has any follow-up questions on deworming or any type of this doctoring on your mule, just let me know. I did put a link in the comment section to Steve's video on doctoring your mule, and you can kind of see a little bit more about what that's all about. The next question here, this comes from Hiker on YouTube, and this one actually came in from at the end of last week's broadcast. And Hiker says, another great video. I'm thinking about getting into mini mules as a hobby, a pair to pull my homemade small wagon just for fun for the family. Any advice on mini mules? What do you have to say there?
Well, mini mules are a lot of fun. I know when we had we was up there working at Friendly Pines Camp in the early 90s, we had a lot of mini mules that we used on wagons and carts, and the family just had a ball with them when all the families would come out to the Friendly Pines Camp. The best thing I could do, folks, anytime you buy an equine, disposition. Now, I can tell you that mini donkeys would be a wonderful little thing to do. The downside of the mini mules is they have a Shetland mother, and that sometimes can be pretty nasty. They can have a pretty bad attitude. Plus, a Shetland pony is really bad to founder, really bad. And that's the only problem that we had with the mini mules was the foundering aspects and some of the attitude problems. So, you might want to think about a mini donkey.
When you say founder, are you talking about like grass founder? Is that what you mean?
Yes, sir. Grass founder is really prevalent in Shetland ponies. They get too much heat from the feed that they're feeding on, and it goes into their feet. We actually had one that actually fluffed off the whole hoof, and we had to tie him up with ropes and build a canvas deal around his belly and hang him up off the ground so that he couldn't get his feet on the ground. Did that for several months and still ended up putting him down, but we tried,
Yeah. I've got an article we've actually done on grass founder, so if any folks want a little bit more information on that, I'll put that in the comment section. I want to go ahead and take a real quick break from questions and want to say welcome to Twig, a.k.a. Linda Dickman. Linda, Twig, we're super glad that you're here. Tommy Payne from Tyler, Texas. Tommy, glad you're here as well. Diane is here. Let's see. Kim is here from Oregon. Linda Dean watching from Queen Creek. Second time watching, and I'm loving it. Thank you for all the great info. You're absolutely welcome, Linda. Let's see here. We got Tracy from Queensland, Australia. We've gone international again. All right.
Hey, Tracy.
There we go.
For me.
Yeah. Okay, we've got Karen Heatwall. She says, my husband and I are watching from Virginia. We're having a beautiful spring weather. Thanks so much. Helpful information. I wonder if we can teach a mule not to paw when she's standing tied. So let's take that question real quick. Can you teach a mule not to paw when the mule is standing tied?
No.
There you go.
Okay, now folks, look. This is natural. Why are they pawing? I want to get rid of the snow to get to the grass. I want to break the ice to get to the water. Of course, in Virginia, you all are used to that. So, can you do some training to help them to understand, I don't want you to paw right here in the trailer. I don't want you to paw right here on the hitching post. I don't want you to paw inside the trailer. Notice I was specific at 3 specific things, because if I tie them at the hitching post, and I do my training, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute, and you move them 3 foot to the right or to the left, it's a new place to that mule or that donkey, and they'll start pawing again. So, folks, don't think that you can train them, quote, when something's natural, like it's natural to paw. So what do? We take 18 inches of heavy chain, and we take a leather strap with a buckle, and we attach the leather strap above the knee on the right and on the left. Let the chain hang down. As they paw, the chain bangs them on the cannon bone, and remember their life, comfortable, uncomfortable. So you're going to make them uncomfortable. They're going to paw. I've seen them jump in the air and paw like this, but it finally hurts them enough, gives them enough discomfort that they quit. Now here's your part, your training. So just as soon as they quit, immediately pull those straps off and those chains and hang them up right where the mule can look at them. Do that. But don't leave them on for long lengths of time. What you want to do is you want to give them a that-a-boy for not pawing. So they think, okay, right here, if I paw, you're going to put them chains on me. And so they will quit pawing at that spot. Now, do not hobble them, folks. Don't hobble two legs together and expect them to stand still. Yeah, they'll stand still after a while. I've got clients that have sent me videos where they've actually pulled the hair clean off of the animals because they hobbled them to get them to stand still. No. They burned them, literally burned a hide. You don't, a hobbling is meant to be standing still and quiet when they got the saddle on and you want to get off, you got no place to tie to, put the hobbles on, one rein on the ground, one rein on the horn. They're hobble trained. That's hobble training. That's what it's for. It is not meant to be hobbled at the hitching post or at the corral or some other place. So that's the best way to do it. 18 inches of chain, 2 straps on each leg with chain on each leg. Heavy chain, heavier the better. And when it bangs on them, it will make a difference. But remember, take them off just as soon as they quit pawing, and they'll understand that at that spot, they will not paw.
There you go. Can't take it out of them, but you can help them understand what exactly you want, those specific things. Next question we got here, this one comes from Diane, and Diane says, "Hi, Steve and Dave." Hi, Diane. Good to see you. I have a mini donkey that hates his come-along rope. He rears up when I walk him. Please help because my granddaughter loves to walk him. He's 1 in May. So we got a young mini donkey rearing up when the come-along rope is on. Hates it.
Yeah. Well, of course he hates it because you got control of him. He doesn't like the idea of you having control. He wants to be the herd leader. Now, here's the problem. The mini donkey is down here. I'm up here. So when I'm bumping, what happens with the rope? It comes up over top of his eyes and his nose. So unfortunately, folks, you got that mini donkey, you're going to have to get down. And folks, here's the thing. Just because you got my come-along rope don't mean you got it, that you're doing it right. That's important that you understand this. That's why I have that kit, Dave, that's got the rope halter and it's got the DVD, how-to DVD. Because it shows, take them around in circles. You'll see me talk to the cowboy and say, do it this way. No, not quite that way. Do it this way. And you see in result, he does good with it, So when you got a mini, what people tend to do is they tend to pull up on it. You can't do that. You got a mini, you got to go down to their level, give it a couple sharp bumps, and do it that way. But they've got to go around in some circles, not just straight. They have to go to the right and to the left. If you don't have my problem mule video, you need to do that because just the come along rope, you got to know how to use it.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put a link to the bundle in there. We've sold, I can't tell you how many Mule Ground Foundation starting kits we've sold, and for those exact same reasons. Folks want to be able to gain communication control over their animal, and that's where it all starts. If you don't have communication on the ground, you're sure as heck not going to have communication with the lines or in the saddle.
That's right. That's exactly right. I talked to a guy the other day. He says, man, I got this sweet mule, and he wanted to buy a bit, So, me, I got to teaching, and started teaching. And he said, I got this sweet mule butt. So everybody's got these butt mules, okay? And there are certain things. I said, this is what I want you to do. He says, but I've been riding it. And I said, okay, but let's do this. Let's take your car, and let's go out, and let's disconnect the brakes. Let's disconnect the steering. Then I want you to go drive. Now, does that sound right? No. What are we doing? Look, there's no sense in going out there if you can't be safe. Get your brakes going first. Get your steering going first, and then go from there. It's not important to drive them. It's not important to ride them. It's important to be safe. I don't want to go to the ER and see you.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get to our next one here. This one comes from Connie over on YouTube, and she's got a young jack. She says, I rescued a young castrated jack donkey about 6 months ago. He is a year and a half old. Just recently introduced him to a 12-year-old Jenny I just adopted. He is all over her to where he has rubbed the fur off her shoulders and won't let my 3-year-old curious gelding anywhere near her. Is this typical behavior for a young jack? Should I separate my jack from the Jenny? Does the newness wear off for my jack? What do you have to say there?
That testosterone runs for quite a while. No telling how long it's been since he's been castrated. Sounds like it's just real recently. Yes, always keep your castrated jacks away from the Jennies for that first year, because that testosterone still kind of goose around. Now, there are some of these animals, I've even seen it with mules, that, yeah, they've been gelded for a long time, but they're just something about a particular mare mule or mare or a Jenny that they just think they've got to roughhouse them, and unfortunately they do. But yes, keep them away. Do not put that jack in with your calves. If you put it in with your calves, it'll kill them. So you want to be sure not to do that.
Very good. So I just want to take a second here and welcome everybody else who's joined us. Craig is over on YouTube. Says, listening from Chatham, Virginia, sunny and 81 degrees. Love the mule talk. Craig, we love giving you the mule talk. If you have any questions, Craig, we'd love to hear them. Hiker popped in. Hiker, I sent you a message and I said we talked about your question about the mini donkeys a few minutes ago. So if you weren't in, go ahead and watch the very beginning. It's right there at the start. We've got, let's see here. Over on Facebook, we've got Diane saying, thank you. I think I'll order the video. Let's see. We've got Tracy tagging Dee and David Scholl, trying to get them in here. Let's see who else we got here. Oh, and Tracy said, let's see here. What'd she say? Nice DABSA shirt there, Steve.
That's it. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So what's that stand for?
It's donkeys. I can't say it especially, but it's something to do with Australia.
Yeah, we'll find out when Dave gets out here, eh?
Yeah, maybe she may even know too. I know what it said at one time when they told me, but I've been using it for work around here. It's been great.
When a shirt's that good looking, you don't need to know exactly what it says to put it on there. You just know, hey, this has got the best animal in the world here, and we're good to go.
Right.
Let's see here. Next question I got. This one comes from Linda, and she sent this in on email. She says, we recently lost our horse, Ranger, to old age. Susie, age 16, a Missouri foxtrotter, has been with him since age 3. We're considering taking on an elderly mule who is very kind to be her companion. He was mostly used for packing, but recently had a child on his back. Can we be sure they will bond together? We can separate them in corrals at first. They will have 165 fence acres to enjoy together. At our age, we have stopped riding but often groom, give treats, and love on our animals. What would you have to say there to Linda about getting a buddy for her 16-year-old Missouri foxtrotter?
Well, I'm not much for the buddy thing personally. I say that, they need to have you be the herd leader and this sort of thing. Since you're not riding anymore, that's not awful bad of a deal. But I know of people that have got a companion animal, and now they can't go anywhere. They can't go any trail rides or anything without them. So that's something to consider. I got people that bought goats to be a companion animal, and now they can't go trail riding without the goat. And you got to have these animals on halter and on lead rope, and that makes it difficult, so it goes on and on and on. So here's the deal. I have seen people put mules in separate corrals and think, okay, they're going to be friends. They go out in a pasture and they're beating each other up. Oh, gosh, what happened? What happened is it's called herd leadership. That's what it is. Herd leadership. You get two animals together, one of them is going to be the herd leader. That John Mule may get his ass whipped. Is about the best way to say it. He's half-assed, right? So he may get himself beat up, or the John Mule may turn around and beat up the Molly. I can't tell you that they will leave each other alone. I have seen it more than once, more than often, I should say, is that somebody's got to be the top of the pecking order. And personally, I don't like turning animals loose out for pasture. I like to have them in corrals to where I can watch their feed intake, their water intake, make sure they're well taken care of. It's these aged animals, that's not quite so bad of a deal, but here's the thing, folks. I have seen these animals, get colicky and they're out in the middle of the pasture someplace and die simply because you weren't there to see that they're okay. And you got to do that on a daily basis. It's up to you to take care of them, but I prefer no animals have a corral buddy or a pasture buddy. But if an aged thing like this, I suppose it wouldn't be such a bad deal, but it can be a major problem.
Yeah, very good. So I hope that helps you there, Linda, on making that decision. And if you have any follow-up questions, please let us know. Real quick, I want to welcome anyone who's coming and hanging out with us. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes of your Wednesday at our live clinic Q&A here. My name is Dave. This is Steve Edwards. Every week we come together and do this. And so the only thing that we ask is, number one, let us know that you're watching. And we've got a few folks we're going to say hello to here in a second. Number two, ask your question. And number three, share the broadcast on your wall. I actually saw that Kevin Howman tagged his buddy Jeremy to come in and check it out, and that's completely acceptable too. That is probably the best thing you can do to show your appreciation, is to share and invite others to come on in. And with that, we've got Kevin watching, says back again from Glen Rose, Texas. We've got David Pengelly. My grandfather and old timers used to use chewing tobacco to deworm. Have you ever heard of that? My pony used to love tobacco. I've never heard of that. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah, I've heard about it, especially when you go back south, they use that. And I've actually tried to use that myself. I can't say that it really worked. I don't know that I used it long enough. I just, I see the results when you use ivermectin. But that's a good idea, Mr. Pengelly, i.e. coffee man.
That's right.
That's right. So, if you've been doing it for a lot of years and you got results, let us know, Dave.
Awesome. So the next question we got, this one comes in from Gary Green. So Gary, glad you're watching. Thanks for hanging out. Good to hear from you again. Says, let's see. I think this is actually more of a report. Let's see. First saddle foundation lesson, and everything was going according to expectations until I wanted to end the lesson by standing in the stirrup. I'm working by myself, and my donkey starts to take off. Here we go. Any suggestions to get him to stand still without having to tie him up?
Okay, so to get one to stand still to mount, and folks, this is important for all of you to do. Okay, mules and donkeys want to hold on to the ground. They want to know that they're safe. So what we have to do is we have to take the donkey off of balance. That's what we need to do. So, and mule as well. So I personally like to take and have my bridle in my left hand, my right hand on the horn, and I give that saddle a really hard shake where it knocks the mule off of balance, knocks the donkey to where he wants to hold on to the ground. And then that's the signal. So then after that, once you mount a few times, you barely have to touch the horn and shake it, and the donkey will learn to stand still. No tying it, it will just get you in trouble. So do that. Your left hand on the reins at the neck, right hand on the horn, give it a real violent shake. Knock him off of his balance. And then when he's standing still and tight, put your foot in the stirrup and stand up in it. Okay? Now, always, when you go to mount, I like to have them up against a corral panel, or I like to have them up against a hitching post or a trailer, something like that, so they can't run off and go forward. Mounting and dismounting, folks, the national problem that we have nationwide is when people get hurt the most is getting on and getting off. They reach over and they get their foot and put their foot in the stirrup. Don't do that. You're off of balance. You should set in the saddle. Your stirrups should be pointing correct. When you get in the saddle, put your right foot in that stirrup and you're done. You're there. So that's how you do it, Mr. Green. You'll do just fine. He had a horse trainer training on his
I remember
donkey.
that.
Yeah, he was creating more problems than he was doing good. I think he'll do just fine. He'll just keep at it. He'll do fine.
Well, you know what? That's something that we've had come up quite a bit in the last year is the idea of, can a horse trainer actually train my mule? And we talked about that a year ago. As a matter of fact, it was back in January of last year we talked about that. I'm going to put a link, 7,500 views on YouTube. It's a question that people are asking over and over and over. Can a horse trainer train on my mule? I'll put the link to the video. It's about a 20-minute video. Do you have anything that you'd want to throw in, though, about horse trainers training a mule?
Well, there's a lot of good guys out there, a lot of good gals that are riders, but they're using horse techniques. They don't understand the donkey side. If you're going to be a mule trainer, you have to understand mules, donkeys, horses, all three of them, And you can't be riding your horse saddle on there, and you can't be using your horse techniques, disengaging hindquarters, stuff like that. Now, that's as far as the trainer goes. Folks, let me tell you something. Don't just give your mule up, your donkey up to somebody for 30 days and say, okay, ride him for 30 days and give him back to me. No. That donkey, that mule is just starting to think about what training is in 30 days. 6 months puts a foundation on. So at the minimum, 90 days, and leave that up to your mule trainer, your trainer to tell you. Don't just think in 30 days you're going to have a whiz bang. That's not right. It takes 6 months to build a foundation.
And one thing you've always said as well is to tune up as well, to take time to tune up and to keep them familiar and to continue to do ground foundation training work, especially if you notice a problem. And that's one thing that I'll mention too. What we've kind of found is that as folks go on, there might be a problem that emerges, and we want you to come to these clinics with those problems, because what can sometimes happen is you'll notice a problem and you'll go about making a correction, but then what happens 6 months down the road? You've got 2 or 3 or 4 different problems that can all be traced back to that, what seemed like a minor correction at the time. So that's why we do these right here. We want you to ask questions. Yeah. We want to make sure that you have the information that you need when you're going out there and making corrections. And let's see here. Speaking of corrections, we've got Glenn from Winsboro, Texas, saying it's raining here and lots more rain coming. And he wants to know, do you have any clinics in Texas or Oklahoma scheduled? I don't think we do. I think we're going to the Hoosier, and then I think we're doing all of our training right here on YouTube and Facebook. Is that what the plan is for right now?
That's it right now. Yes, sir. I've quit traveling throughout the United States with my truck and trailer. I fly into a few places, but I just don't have everything lined up now. But we're always looking for a host. If somebody wants to be a host and put together a clinic, Dave, we can send them a link to tell them how to do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So if you folks are listening, what it looks like to be a host, if that's something that you think you're interested in, is basically you work with Steve to work out the details, but we wind up helping to promote it along with you to get folks to come to that particular area. So if that sounds like, hey, I got people in my area that I think would come, and they'll come from hundreds of miles away if they know Steve's going to be there. They'll come in with their trucks and their trailers. If that's something you're interested in, reach out to me, and we'll go ahead and we'll get you some information on that. So Glenn, super glad that you're watching, and if you want to host a clinic, just let us know. Next question we got here, this actually it's a comment. This one's from Micah. He's talking about founders. Steve, you should talk with my dad sometime about founders. I don't know what this means, Steve. Maybe you will. I'm just a city slicker. He says he has built false hoof walls for horses that sloughed the entire hoof cap. Not many people in the country know how to do things like that. What is that?
Well, here's what happens. The outside wall, here's your hoof. You have your outside wall, and then you have your lamina or your white line, and then you have your coffin bone. And what happens is the outside wall from this founder comes off. And now you have only the white line, the fiber. And so that he has to take and build a special shoe to go on that foot to protect that foot and to protect the hoof pad on the bottom, which gets into the coffin bone. Because the problem is the coffin bone will start rotating back, and when it does, they're done. But corrective shoeing, he's exactly right. There's very few people I know of that are good at corrective shoeing, and from what I understand from Mike, his dad, he knows what he's doing. Hearing him talk.
Very good. So let's talk about shoeing real quick. There's a lot of folks out there that believe that, hey, you don't need to put shoes on these mules. You don't need to put shoes on these donkeys. Going all natural. That's how I've done it my whole life. That's how the mule's done it, and we've worked out just fine. I know that you have some opinions on this, and it comes from your 40 years of working with them. What do you have to say about shoeing the mule, shoeing the donkey? Do you always need to have shoes on them? Can you go all natural without shoes? What do you have to say there?
Well, the most important part of the hoof is balance, so that the hoof is evenly balanced so that the animal walks correctly.
Real quick, I'm going to interject. What do you mean by balanced?
Well, in other words, I want the hoof wall to be even all the way around.
Okay.
And I want the hoof to set at the right angle. And the angle is going to depend on the slope of the shoulder.
Okay.
So the slope of the shoulder is going to tell you what angle the foot should be, front and rear. Okay. Not by using a protractor on the bottom of the foot. That you can do to kind of keep the angles good, but once you get an eye for it, you can do it. Anyway, going on, the biggest problem is, folks, is what people don't see is that the foot slowly contracts, and as it contracts, it's already got a small foot. When you have a 15-hand mule that barely covers a number 1 shoe when it should be. A double-aught shoe when it should be a number 1 or maybe even a 2, that's contracting. And the problem is this: a lot of people, their mules are tripping, their donkeys are tripping, and they just think it's the ground. It's not. It's because the foot is shrinking up, and you don't have the blood flow from the frog not touching the ground correctly. So a good, healthy frog helps to have good blood flow, which then gives you a good quiet. It's like having enough air in the tire so that the tire will wear correctly.
Very good. I've got some more videos that I'll put in the comment section so folks can hear a little bit more on shoeing. It's an important thing. We've done a really nice article on mule saddles, really providing a lot of education on what a proper mule saddle should be. And folks, Steve is very, very specific about this. It's not a mule saddle. It's Steve's saddle. And the reason why is there's a lot of folks out there who like the horse trainers. They're good people. They don't understand the differences. And so they'll put the word mule saddle on the product, and it doesn't have the correct bars. It doesn't fit the bone structure, and that's the difference between a quote-unquote mule saddle and Steve's saddle. So the article talks all about that. We did a really nice article about bits, going through the bits that you need to use for training, for riding, for driving, refined communication, things like that. And I think one of the next things we're going to do is, as a matter of fact, we are going to do is hoof care, the hoof in general, shoeing, things like that, because these are very important things. Steve, you've always said if you don't have a foot, you don't have a mule.
That's right. That's very, very important. I see people all the time. They say, well, my foot's not chipping, not cracking. That's not the purpose, not the thought. That foot has to expand and contract. It hits the ground, it expands. It comes up, it contracts. And the back heels need to be big and wide, and the frog fluffy, not hard. That's, if you have a frog that's hard, you don't have the blood flow through up and down that leg.
Very good. So the next question I got here, and folks, if you have any questions that you haven't asked yet, go ahead and get them in now. It looks like we're going to have a good amount of time to wrap up here and be able to get to some questions. The next question, this comes from Lily. She sent in, and it's similar to a question that we had before. The question that we had before was about a mini, I think it was a mini donkey. This one is while leading my mule, so normal size, while leading my mule with the come-along rope, he rears up and struck me with his front feet. How do I correct the problem? Is it going to be the exact same, come along hitch, problem mule video? Like, what would you have to say there to Lily to give her some encouragement and some steps forward?
Yeah, well, Lily, here's the deal. These mules, when they can't go to the left, they can't go to the right, and they back up, the next thing they do is they rear up. They're trying to get control. They're trying to be the herd leader. I'm sure that this mule didn't paw you to, intentionally. They just don't do that. They're not like a horse. So what happened was you were too close. And that's usually the biggest problem with people. If my video, Problem Mule Building a New Foundation, with my communication kit, shows you where you should be standing. You should have at least 4 foot of rope, at least minimum, to do your communicating with, and this sort of thing. How to correct it? The best thing you can do, if one reared up like that, I would just start bumping his nose, and I would try to. Here's a common word you can hear me say. I'm gonna try to rip his nose off, because he has to understand this is not his choice. He can't go to the right or he can't go to the left, so now he's going to rear up. He can't back up because you got control of him. So he says, okay, I'm going to rear up then,
Mm-hmm.
Well, all he's trying to do is get control, folks. So you either got to fix it or put up with it. And it's easy to fix. Bump, 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 bump. And that'll fix it.
What do you say? You got to tell him life what? Life ain't?
Life's not Burger King. They don't get it their way, That's right. And that's the thing,
good.
folks. Look, Fluffy, boy, like this one guy was telling me today, boy, he does all this stuff. Oh, well, that's nice. All except for when the guy actually wants something done for him, the mule goes, I ain't going to do that. No, this is not Burger King. You're going to do it my way, or you ain't, or you're going to get the highway,
Yeah. Yeah, and you framed it quite a bit that, at first it sounds like rip his nose off. Man, don't I want to be nice to these animals? Well, what you've said is it's either going to be you or him. It's either going to be you that gets that gets tossed off or that gets kicked or whatnot, or it's going to be them that gets their nose ripped off, so they understand that, no, you're going to do what I say. And so really when it comes down to it, it's what you've got to do. I mean, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to miss a little bit of hair. At the worst end, they're going to miss a little bit of hair. At the worst end, they're going to have a little bit of swelling. But remember, ask, tell, demand. The demand part of a mare, when she's the boss, she's going to spin and kick that mule. Your little bump, bump, bump is not going to equal the kick of that mare, folks, or the bite. When that mare bites that mule and says, do what I want you to do, that's nothing, with this bump, bump, bump. When I say rip his nose off, I mean do that, because, folks, if you don't, the mule's going to be the upper hand. You got to be the herd leader. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. So ask, tell, demand. That's not just the great different breeds or great different brews of coffee. That's actually a real thing. It's not just coffee.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's actually the real thing. You're going to ask with your lead ropes. They're going to say, I don't want to do it. When you're going to ask, bump, bump. Well, I don't really want to do it. Well, then you're going to tell, bump, bump. Notice I'm going downhill, and then I'm going to demand, and I am going to do my best to rip your nose off. Sure, they're going to get sore. Sure, they're going to lose a little bit of hair, but the next day they're going to be far more willing,
I've got so for folks who maybe weren't on a little bit earlier, we actually have Come Along coffee now, and it comes in 3 brews: ask, tell, and demand. So I'll put a link there so folks can check it out. So just a little joke, but I am putting a link in the comment section as well for that whole concept of ask, tell, and demand, because that is foundational. Okay, the next question we've got here. Oh, Tracy chimed in with what the DABSA stands for. Donkey All Breed Society of Australia. There you go. Donkey All Breed Society of Australia. Tracy, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so right here we've got Nicole chiming in. Nicole, good to have you here, hanging out with us again. Hey, I'm about to be gone for over a month for work. My mule is 11 months old. I've been working with him for about a month now. Do you think it will be starting from scratch with him when I come back home? That's a good question. We've never had that before.
Well, actually, if you've done your foundation right, and I say foundation, folks, go up the steps. if you've done it right, when you come back, you should be able to pick up right where you left off. There may be a couple little hiccups, but for the most part, you'll be fine.
Very good. Okay, next question we got here. Oh, real quick, I want to say hello to a few people. We've got Sundance Kid Mark Miller from Pennington Gap, Virginia. We've got Yolanda. I guess the mules in the USA are a lot harder to deal with than the mules in Spain. Hey, if you've got any tips, Yolanda, send it over this way. And with that, we've gone international again. It's good to see you, Yolanda. She says, yo, how is life in Mule Valley? And the breakfast bread, it's fantastic. Edie Wick says, howdy guys from New Mexico. D. Schultz says, morning Steve and David. Polly Jones, this is Polly Jones from Reno, Nevada. Sunny here, and yes, I don't know much. Hey, you're just like the rest of us, Polly. You're in good company right here. I have a 2-year-old Molly, have been using the come along when working with her. Starting to pony her from my horse. Any tips for ponying success? Well, first off, what's ponying? And then what type of tips do we have for ponying success?
Ponying, I get in the saddle and I have my young mule, my young horse, my young donkey behind me, and I dally up to my horn, and that young animal comes alongside of me. It's what it does. So that's ponying. And so when it comes down to that, you want to make sure you've done your groundwork first, that the mule really responds easy, because this is what's going to happen. When you first start ponying, you're going to bring the rope up the nose a little bit. So instead of 2 fingers above the nostril, you're going to bring it up 3 fingers, maybe even 4 fingers above the nostril. Because here's what can happen. If you're not good with that dally, you could pull back and you could have a cartilage get pretty sore on that nose. But the best thing to do is remember dally, undally. So dally means you got the horn and you wrap the rope around the horn. That's a dally. So you want to be able to loosen it and tighten it. Have the mule at first be fairly close to you, where you can just reach out and pet him and rub him, go around in small circles. The big problem is here, folks, is everybody wants to go out and do the big thing. Don't do it. Go in small circles. Go out and do things small to start with. When it's new, do it small. So go around in some small circles, go to the left and to the right and this sort of thing. Small things. A little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, and then pretty soon lead them out down the trail.
Very good. Very good. David Scholl says, hey, good Aussie morning. David, good morning to you. Yeah, Steve's got his shirt on there. Let's see. The next question, this one's David Pingelli, says, I see so many pictures of people riding their rope halter under their bridle. Wouldn't it be more comfortable for the mule to have the halter on top if you're riding all day? So I've got a question. Should you be riding with a rope halter, in combination with your bridle? And then 2, if you do, is there an ideal way to do it, on top or underneath?
Well, actually, it's better off putting it underneath. Because what's going to happen, David, when you stop to take a break, you're going to take the bridle off and hang it on your horn and tie it up. Folks, look, when you are taking a break, which you should be taking every couple hours, especially when you're as old as David. Not just kidding. You want to give the mule a break. We have so many white spots on these mules because we don't give them a break. This is what you got to do: loosen up the cinches. Loosen up the breeching, pick up the saddle, wave it up and down a few times, let cool air go through it. Go ahead and eat yourself a sandwich or whatever it is that you're going to take a break for. Then loosen it up again. Then shake it again. Then tighten up everything and then go ride. So I always like to see the halter underneath the bridle. Personally, I ride with my bridle with no halter on it. My mules are hobble trained, so when I get off with the bridle and the bit and this sort of thing, one lead rope goes on the ground. One rein goes on the ground. The other one goes up on the horn. I hobble the feet together and they stand still and quiet. They don't move. That's the idea of being hobble trained. That's what it's for. Out here in the desert, we got nothing but cactus to tie to, and everything stings you, bites you, or sticks you. So That's why we hobble. And so that's what I do, Dave. If you're gonna, Dave's got a bunch of things. I think they call them trees there. You can tie the trees and not have a problem. But anytime you're riding in a national forest, folks, it's against the law to tie the trees.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Noted.
Yep. Yeah.
Good question. We've got Kevin Albright here. Hi, guys. Looking forward to learning at the Hoosier. Kevin, that's going to be a lot of fun. Steve will have to tell me all about it. I'll be looking forward to hearing the reports. Rebecca Farmers from Hi from Lenoir City, Tennessee. Hi, Rebecca. We're glad that you're here hanging out a little bit with us. Let's see here. Yolanda says, when I hear all these mule problems with these USA mules, and then mine is a clean sheet and hardly any problem at all, and she is almost recovered from the poisoning. Yolanda, we are so glad to hear that she's recovering from the poisoning. Yolanda sends us messages, keeping us updated, and we're super happy to have a friend over there in the Netherlands. Her and Sue's advocating for the mule and the donkey. There's a lot of pockets of real estate where folks just don't know about the mule. We're doing what we can over here in the U.S., and folks like Yolanda and Suze are doing a great job over there across the seas in the Netherlands. So, Yolanda, you have our gratitude. Next question I got here, Bill on YouTube. What are the pros and cons of a 1 or 2 rig hip plates? What's a 1 and 2 rig hip plate?
Oh, okay. So the hip plate is the breeching goes around the hip.
Okay, so on a breeching.
Yeah, on a breeching. So that's the butt plate. The hip plate is in the center. And I prefer to have a wide hip plate so that I got a strap that goes to each side of the bar of the saddle.
Okay.
When you have a single hip plate with one strap, it's not much more than a crouper. It's better than a crouper, but the problem is it's only guiding the center. Now, when a mule walks, they're very loud when they're walking. So if we have 2 straps, then when it's tied to the right bar and the left bar, and the mule walks, the breeching bumps that saddle and has it go into place. I used to use the single strap breeching straps, and my saddle would move a lot. When I went to the double rig where I've got a strap to each bar, that was the end of my saddle moving.
Very good. We've got Dawn over on YouTube, Dawn from Connecticut, and Natalie from Rainy, Missouri.
Yep, Rainy, Missouri. Yep. That's where I got my 49. I meant to say to Yolanda, I'm shipping some things out to Spain tomorrow. I forget the name of it, but they sent me the information. It looks like a beautiful ranch there in Spain, but the lady bought breeching breast collar instead of tapaderos.
There you go. Why would you do taps versus just plain stirrups?
Well, I've always had the nightmare of being dragged. I've heard some awful stories of people being dragged, and the mule or horse just literally kicked that person to hamburger and being dragged. So the thing with that is my foot does not go through the stirrup. The tap it's got a cover. Tapadero means toe cover, and your foot's only going to go so far. Plus that, going through brush, trail riding and stuff, I don't have things getting caught in my stirrups. And nice. It's nice when it's wet. My feet are dry. That's kind of nice part too. It's far safer. Far safer.
When your feet are wet, at least for me, I mean, I guess I can speak for myself. When my feet are wet, I am miserable. And no matter how miserable the weather might be out there, if my feet are dry, I'm in much better spirits. I was in New York probably 2 years ago, something like that, and I went out with a pair of shoes, and it started raining, and immediately my shoes were soaked, just absolutely soaked. And so eventually I wound up and went out and just bought a different pair of shoes that were going to stay dry the whole time because it rained the whole time I was there. But what I did was I went back to my apartment. I put my feet in some plastic bags. I tied them around my ankles, and then I put my feet back in my shoes so that my feet would stay dry, because it's miserable when your feet get all wet and exposed to the elements. It's no fun.
And we used to do that with the kids when they go play in the snow.
Yeah.
We couldn't afford good boots, so we just put that baggies up around them, put rubber bands on them, and their feet were nice and warm.
Yeah, you do what you got to do. This question comes from Allison over on YouTube. So we got a YouTube question here. She says, I just got my first mule after always riding horses. I still have horses. Oh, we're going to get a bell. I'm going to try to get a bell. And when someone says I've got my first mule, we're going to ring that bell. Right?
Yeah.
Looking at her teeth, I would say Daisy May is about 2 and such a sweetie. She leads, loads, follows me all over pasture, picks up her feet, which is amazing, as she was a rescue. She was on her way to Mexico. She is comfortable in a pasture with horses, goats, and doesn't mind dogs at all. My question is, what should I be doing with her at this age? What should I be teaching her? And do you think if I look at your videos, I could train her myself? What a great question, Steve. What would you say there?
Absolutely. Train them yourself. You know, folks, enjoy these animals. You know, riding is not the whole picture. It's nice to go out and saddle up and go ride. But you know what? You cannot believe the camaraderie you're going to have training the mule on your own, using simple techniques. I've got a lot of clients that have taken their mules to some horse trainer, and everything goes along good, and then all of a sudden there's problems. Look, train him yourself. Take your time. Build a camaraderie. Build a friendship. And you can't believe how it's going to be. It's going to be awesome. Sounds like you got a mule with a great disposition. I was thinking here, I would start out with the ground communication kit to get them to understand, because anytime you're training, you want to train from the nose, and that's what the ground communication kit does. Teaches the mule to give with the nose, you know. We've got a lot of videos that'll help you out, plus all the stuff we have on YouTube and articles. You know, we're right in there to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the last question we've got here, and folks, if I by chance missed your question, please let me know. I don't intend to. Sometimes Facebook shows me everything, sometimes it doesn't. So if by chance I missed it, get it in front of me, and I'll make sure you get your answer. But the last question I'm seeing here, and we'll end our show with this one today. This one's from Nicole. Hey guys, glad to be able to join today, and we're glad you're able to join too. My question is that I have a yearling John that when I turn him out with his dam, he keeps trying to nurse. She lets him. She is not pregnant and she is not producing milk, but I'm planning on breeding again. I'm afraid that John will continue nursing. What kind of comments do you have there for a John that wants to continue nursing when it's not the case anymore?
Keep them separate, you know, just flat keep them separate, because the problem is he's going to keep trying to do it, and I've seen him try to do it all the way up to their 7 years old at times. Keep the baby away from the mother. You should start building a relationship. That mule should start thinking that you are its best friend, i.e. mother, if you want to look at it that way. But never, you know, once you've taken and taken your baby and started weaning it, stay with it. You cannot believe how much better of a mule, especially a John mule, how much better of a mule you'll have, you know, with it away from its mother. It makes all the difference between night and day.
Very good. Well, that's everything that we have for this week's show. Now, you're going to be going to the Hoosier Horse Fair and Expo. When are the dates of that? I'm trying to bring it up here. The dates of the Hoosier Horse Fair, is it May 3rd through 5th? Does that sound right?
First weekend of May. Yep.
There we go.
Yep. First weekend of May. Susan and I are going to be flying in. And that Hoosier Horse Fair, folks, I'm telling you, you need to be there to see this. This Hoosier Horse Fair, they really try hard. Lots of volunteers. This Hoosier, the Indiana horse people are putting it on. It's a great way to learn. Pat Pirelli's going to be there. My good friend Pat Pirelli's going to be there. Ken McNabb is going to be there. I'm trying with Ken McNabb. We haven't heard from him yet to do the Cowboy Church service there, so we're looking forward to that. But look, I am not going to have a booth. I am not selling saddles and stuff there. I've decided that on this type of clinics, I'm just going to fly in, and I'm there for you mule and donkey people, you know. And you new ones that are coming in, you see me, catch me. Remember, the first 50 people that come up and say, hey, Steve, I saw you on YouTube or whatever. I'm going to give you a pocket knife, and I've got to have some coffee there as well.
Very good. Now, there's one more thing that I want to make sure to mention, and it's coming up about 26 days away, and that is Mule Days out in Bishop, California. And I have something real neat that I want to do. I want to make sure. First, I'm going to send a link to the website so y'all can get information. This is an event. Steve's been at this event a lot of times, participated in competitions, world championships, a lot of fun. I want to get as many mule and donkey folks out there as possible. So, Steve, do you have any comments about the Mule Days happening out here in Bishop? It's Memorial Day weekend, May 21 through 26. What's your memories of Bishop Mule Days?
You know, I've got a lot of awesome memories. Back when I was going in the 80s and the 90s, all the way up to 2002, we did a lot of competing. We took 3 horse trailers, 3 rigs. We had packers there and this sort of thing. We competed against the Grand Canyon, against Yosemite, a lot of the backcountry horsemen, and it was awesome. I'm going to tell you it's changed a lot compared to what it was. Oh, I just lost my camera.
Steve, you okay? Is everything okay?
I'm fine. Darn it all, man. I bumped the table, and here we go. There, we got it.
Getting it back set up there. I'll tell you what. There's folks now. If you have been to Bishop Mule Days and you have not left a review on their Google website, I'm going to put a link in here. Only leave a review if you've participated, but I want you to leave a review and make sure that you say that Steve Edwards told me that I needed to let everybody know how awesome Bishop Mule Days is. I'm going to put that in the link, but just a few things that folks have said. Good parade, mules, packers, and beer. 3rd time to the Mule Festival. A great time had by all. The displays and festivities are worth the trip. Never realized that the mules could do so many things. Very intelligent. The parade is great. A lot to do and see in Bishop and surrounding communities. Always camp several days. Love the parade again this Mule show is not to be missed. Great time for family and friends. It's a great event. So like I said, if you have attended and you have not left a review yet on their website, I'm going to put a link in the comment section. Go leave a review. And in that review say, Steve Edwards told me that I had to tell everyone how awesome the Mule Days is out in Bishop. Yeah, so you were saying, Steve, I wanted to chime in there while you were getting your camera.
Yeah, no problem. I bumped the table here. But here's the deal, folks, is that what you're going to see this year, this is their 50th anniversary. I wish I could be there. I'm going to be punching cows and AIing and this sort of thing, so it won't be done this year. But you're going to see Bobby Tanner driving the 20 mule team with the brand new wagons. They have been completely replicated by a man in Montana. The original 20 mule team borax wagons are in a museum there in the Bishop area. But Bobby Tanner is one awesome mule man. You're going to see him driving these mules. Last year I was right there with him, stayed right there at Bobby's place. And he's a man, I tell you what, you want to spend time and visit with Bobby Tanner, a great guy. His dad was just literally a monarch when it come down to pack stations and this sort of thing. Super guy. But folks, you need to go to Bishop. You need to go see it. You know, at least one time you need to make that run and go see it. It's changing all the time, changing new stuff. I think you're going to see Dr. Robert Miller there. Bob is always there doing demonstrations and stuff. I'm not sure who's going to do clinics. Oh, Eric from Mountain Gear.
Hey, Eric Lynn.
Yeah, Eric Lynn. He's going to be there as well. So go up and Eric, go up and tell him that you want one of these hats.
Right there.
Steve Edwards said you need one of these real cowboy hats. We know it's real because Dave's son says it is, you know. So, that's right. You know. So folks, you need to go to Bishop, and then look, come to Hoosier. Come and see me. Come up and say hi. I'd love to spend time with you. And if you know of any other expos throughout the United States, there's also expos in Germany and Spain and stuff like this I would love to go to as well. But, you know, there we are, Dave. Where'd the time go?
Time just flies when we do these. It's a lot of fun. We really enjoy ourselves. I'm so glad we started doing these, and I'm glad that folks keep showing up, because as long as they're showing up, we're planning on putting these on. We may take a break here or there, but as long as folks are showing up, this is a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and I feel like I've really gotten to know a lot of people. Okay, so I gotta. I'll leave with this, and then I'll let you say final goodbyes. So we just had Kim hop on and leave a comment on Facebook. Now, Steve, I don't think I ever told you this. So I have this. I have a business where we do, media and websites and things like that. And so a couple of years ago, I'm doing a presentation kind of like this. I'm doing a presentation teaching people how to email people, telling them, hey, what's going on, what products they have, teaching them how to do things like we do, teaching people with new mule videos and whatnot. And I used Queen Valley Mule Ranch as an example. I said, here's how we communicate with people on our Queen Valley Mule Ranch list. And I had Kim send me a message afterwards, and it was something to the extent of, I can't believe you work with Steve Edwards. I loved listening to you, but now I trust you because you work with Steve Edwards. I know that I can listen to you now. It was such a small world. She was learning how to do digital marketing and social media, things like that. And she knew who you were, had no idea that we were buddies and that I had worked with you. Is very small. And so she's hopping on here. This is the first time I've seen Kim on here. So Kim, so glad that you're here. Yeah. So glad that we've got that connection. That's real fun.
You betcha. You betcha. So Mark Williams, I heard his daughter say that he had to work tonight or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's okay. But anyway, it's always good to hear from folks all over the world. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun. But what we ought to do, Dave, is one of these times, maybe this winter, we can have this camera set up in a round pen. Yeah. And we can do some actual, they ask the question, I show them how to do it. Live right there. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be really, really cool. We will work that out. We will figure it out. In the meantime, we'll be doing some new video here in the next couple of weeks, and I'm excited to do that. So, folks, thank you so much for hanging out. If you haven't shared the broadcast yet, please do that. Click that share button below. To our friends on YouTube, thanks for coming and hanging out with us, spending a few minutes. To our folks on Facebook, thank you for watching and always being there. Love seeing the hearts, love seeing the likes coming through on the screen. That really means a lot to us. And like I said, as long as we continue to get folks in here and folks continue to learn, we're going to do our best to continue to show up every single week and make sure you get exactly what you need so that you can move forward in your relationship with this animal and you can enjoy what God has given us as a blessing to steward and to have dominion over. And Steve, any final words?
Nope. I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Thanks very much for showing up. It's always good to hear folks from Australia and Yolanda from the Netherlands. Yeah. She thinks that we have problems here in the United States. She needs to.
You got to come over, Yolanda. You got to come over and see it for yourself.
That's right. There are really a lot of good mules here, and that sort of thing. And Yolanda, you get a chance, email me, and I'll email you the people in Spain that just contacted me about some tack and this sort of thing. So anyway, y'all be blessed in the name of the Lord. See you later.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.